house, two cars, a husband, wife, two cars, 2.5 children, 1.5 pets, and that's what's going to make you happy? Or are you the type of person that feels like if I don't have a degree, if I'm not, if I'm not, making X amount of money, then I'm not going to be happy, or if I don't live in this neighborhood or whatever the case. A lot of times we base our happiness, or we base our pursuit of happiness on what other people deem as valuable or worthy. And I want us to think a little bit today in this first segment of Heart Talk about what happiness really is for us, defined within ourselves. Because we spend too much time trying to assimilate and conform to what's going on around us. I had a situation take place recently with me, and I realized that so much of who I am has been impacted by what others think about me. And it's 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 literally been a hindrance from moving forward to do what I need to do, because I'm looking to the left and the right, and I want to make sure I'm not offending anybody. I want to make sure I'm not upsetting anybody. I don't want anybody to think that I'm, you know, thinking I'm better than them, or any of those things. And no, we can't live our lives like that. It's like walking around on eggshells trying not to crack them. That just doesn't work. Real happiness, what is it for you? And even when I ask that question, there are a lot of people out there who they'll say something and I'm looking at them like, that's not happiness. You and I both know that. But we are so engulfed in the lies of I'm okay, everything's fine. We are so accustomed to saying things like that and behaving as if everything is okay, and it's not, till it is hurting us. We have a world that is crying out, just showing the impact of what the counterfeits of happiness will do to you, and the pursuit of a counterfeit of happiness would do to you. There's another quote. I'm looking at brainquote.com. I love these quotes, guys, just to put that out there. And there's another one right under it that says the earth is the very quintessence of the human condition. The earth is the very quintessence of the human conditions. And I think about some of the most beautiful places on earth. So serene, so tranquil, so clean and fresh. And then we see other places that are literally the exact opposite: polluted, dirty, just despicable. And this quote says, the earth is the very quintessence of the human condition. And I want you to think about that when you think about happiness. Because if you're talking to somebody that their lives mirror living in Fiji, or living someplace out in the mountains in Alaska in the snow, it's just beautiful. It's this beautiful landscape. And I'm going by the look and the feel when you get there. And then you have some people that live their lives in the landfills and trash heaps per se. And when you're talking to these different people, happiness is going to be defined differently. And it is not just depending on where you live, because you can have somebody living in the landfill who on the inside feels like they're down in Fiji someplace, just in paradise. But we have to be careful about how we're defining happiness, and making sure that we're allowing God to infuse us and help us to define that for ourselves. Because if not, that we're not going to be able to make it happen. We're not going to be able to make anything happen, much less the it that God has called for us to do. Many of us have conformed to mediocrity, because that's what's going on. Like that is the thing now. I was watching a video on YouTube, and the guy, I will say this guy did seem a little angry, but I did appreciate his point. He was just saying that it's so easy to be great nowadays, because so few people are willing to step out and do what they need to do. So everybody looks the same, dresses the same, goes the same places, do all of the same things for enjoyment. You cannot tell me that everybody likes to do these things. Like, I mean, not to, like, I'll use something like an amusement park, because we're talking about different ways of happiness. Because I've heard certain people say they don't like going to places like amusement parks and things like that, because they feel like those places are like organized fun. Like, you're telling me what to do to have fun. I know what I want to do to have fun. So I choose not to go to places where I have to stand in line to do something you have created for me to do versus me getting out and creating it for myself. And I feel like many of us, when we think about it, and I don't have a problem with amusement parks, but when I heard that point, I appreciated that perspective because I never saw it like that. But I think many of us have allowed other people and society and culture to fabricate our happiness. And it's counterfeit. So it looks like it feels like it smells like it sounds like it, but it's not it. And you don't know until you go to make that life exchange. Like, just like going in the store, you don't know it's counterfeit until the clerk pulls out that pen and puts a mark on there, and you're like, oh, this isn't the real thing. And now you're in a sticky situation. Life just got a little bit more difficult because now they're trying to figure out, where did you get this counterfeit money from? But we don't realize we go through that. We find ourselves in that same type of crisis every time we lie about how we feel and where we are and what we have going on in our lives. And what happens is we find ourselves in a crisis because we were trying to convince ourselves that something was working that wasn't. We were trying to convince ourselves that we were okay and we weren't. So we have to get to a space where we are willing to invest in real happiness, and it really is cheap. It doesn't cost that much, but it does cost you to let go of who you thought you were. It does cost you something. It costs you your identity. But guess what? That's false. It's false identity, like counterfeit happiness. How you gonna get real happiness with a false identity? So you're happy, but you're still unhappy because you are not the real person that's portraying this. It's like people who marry people for the wrong reasons. And so you're in a situation where you're married to someone and y'all are in this relationship or whatever, but you always love somebody else. You never wanted this person, but this person was safe for you. And it's like, or maybe, and I don't even know if that's the best example, or maybe being in an abusive relationship. That's even better one, an abusive relationship. So you're in this relationship with this person and they're doing all these nice and kind things for you, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's so good to you, and oh my god, I wish my man bought me things like that and did these things, and it's nice, and you always wanted that Fendi bag and he bought it if you came home and it was on the bed with the rose petals and all of that. But he did that because he beat you up the night before. That's that counterfeit happiness Mr. Baloo was talking about. Real happiness is cheap enough. It's so cheap it doesn't cost you having to be hurt. It doesn't cost that. Love doesn't hurt, guys. I don't care. I don't care what people tell you. Love does not hurt. God is, God is, God is here. Like, just be happy. Honestly. Like, really, be happy. Like, you don't have to worry about anything else. But I know it's easier said than done. That I do know. So just think about it. Real happiness. Are you living in real happiness, or is it counterfeit? I don't know. You think about it. It's Make It Happen Monday. This has been Heart Talk with your heart coach, Adelai Brown, on your community station with international inspiration, kinetichifi.com. We'll be back with more after this. But in the meantime, let's take it back a little bit. Y'all remember this? Don't worry. Be happy. It's Make It Happen Monday. I love y'all. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers. High five. All right, YouTube. This is Adelaide, and I'm so glad. Thanks for being on live. Thanks for liking the video. Make sure you comment if you have any questions. What do you think about happiness? I want to hear about it. We'll be back live at about 11:30 right here on YouTube with Heart Talk. And Thank you for the support. Thank you for being here.